Welcome to the complete story of Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. The game that quite possibly has the craziest name in the series. It's a story about identity, friendship, and a strange ice cream flavor. Seriously, have any of you had sea salt ice cream? What's it like? Please tell me. But anyway, I'm Peter from Birds of Play, and in this video I hope you'll join me as we finish bridging the gap between Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2. It's a long road ahead. The story of Roxas and the friends he finds along the way. So settle in and let's take this journey step by step, day by day. 13 thrones stand arranged in a perfect circle, high above the empty halls of the castle that never was. They belong to Organization XIII, whose members are beings without hearts. Nobodies, shadows of people who once existed, now left with only memory. They cannot feel, not joy, not sorrow, and yet they remember what those things were like. Atop the tallest throne sits their leader, Xemnas, and beneath him 12 others carry out his will. The last of them is Roxas, the 13th member. Later, high above Twilight Town, Roxas sits on the edge of a clock tower, watching the sunset. 255 days, he says, having counted the days since joining the organization. He's joined by Axel, a nobody with fiery red hair, and together they eat sea salt ice cream. As they sit off the ledge of the tower, Axel talks about the sunset, about how light is made of many colors, and how red travels the farthest. Roxas listens, even though he doesn't completely understand. Yet, these moments feel important. They are the highlight of every day. The two of them are waiting for someone, but she never comes. And so Roxas begins looking back, remembering his time with the organization and what he's been up to these last 255 days. The first week is a blur, but on the 7th day after his arrival, he sits with the rest, taking his place as one of the 13. Then another is brought before them. Xemnas speaks, declaring that another has been chosen to join their ranks. Now there is a number 14 as well, though he can't see her face. Roxas barely understands what that means. In truth, he understands very little. He does not know what the organization is. He does not know why he is a part of it. He doesn't even know what a heart is. So they give him someone to follow, and that someone is Axel. Axel is different. Where the others speak in half-truths and riddles, Axel speaks plainly. He jokes, he teases, he treats Roxas like a person, even though none of them are people in the truest sense of the word. After their first mission together, Axel leads Roxas to the top of the clock tower in Twilight Town. Axel produces 2 bars of sea salt ice cream, bright blue, and tells Roxas to sit down. This becomes their ritual. After every mission, no matter how grueling or mundane, they return to this perch above the town. They eat their ice cream, they watch the sun go down, and slowly, one stilted conversation at a time, something begins to form between them. Something that by all the laws governing their hollow existence should not be possible. Friendship. Roxas continues to be sent out on missions, day after day, world after world. Roxas learns slowly. He learns of the heartless, creatures drawn to hearts. He learns of his role, and that only he can wield the Keyblade. Furthermore, he learns that only the Keyblade can release the hearts trapped within the heartless. Every enemy he defeats adds another heart to their growing collection, a collection that will one day form something greater, something the organization calls Kingdom Hearts. But Roxas does not understand it. He doesn't understand any of it. He just keeps going. Different missions, different partners. Some test him, Others observe, but no matter who is sent with him, they all tell him the same thing. He is special because he can wield the Keyblade. And so the days begin to pass. After every mission, Roxas returns to the same place, the clock tower. And Axel is always there, waiting for him with 2 bars of sea salt ice cream. On the 14th day on the streets below the clock tower in Twilight Town, Roxas sees a group of children, running and laughing without a care in the world. He asks Axel whether everyone is like that. Axel shrugs and tells him that, if they have hearts, they probably are. Roxas watches them a little longer, and then follows Axel back up to the tower, where the sun is already beginning to set, and the ice cream is already waiting. But not everything stays the same, at least not forever. On the 22nd day, Axel tells Roxas that he'll be away for a while. He has a new assignment that will take him somewhere called Castle Oblivion, a second castle the organization has in the world between worlds. As Axel prepares to depart, Zyx, Xemnas' cold and calculating second-in-command, delivers a secret order. He tells him that there are traitors within Organization XIII, operating inside Castle Oblivion, and that Axel is to seek them out and eliminate them. The next day, Roxas is assigned a new partner, number 14. She does not speak. She does not introduce herself. She does not acknowledge him beyond what is strictly necessary to complete the mission. They move together in silence, striking down Heartless, collecting hearts, fulfilling the organization's purpose without question. And yet, something about her feels different. Not just distant, but uncertain. Like she herself does not fully understand why she is there. Days pass, missions repeat, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, something begins to change. One day she says his name, Roxas. Just that, and nothing more. But it is enough, because it is the first time she has spoken at all. The next time they meet, she removes her hood, revealing the face beneath. The face of a young girl with blue eyes. Her name is Xion, and not long after, everything changes. During a mission, Roxas is overwhelmed. His Keyblade is knocked from his grip, sent skidding across the ground as the Heartless closes in. For a brief moment, there's nothing he can do. And then, Xion moves. She picks up the Keyblade, and without hesitation she uses it. The Heartless falls in a single strike. Roxas doesn't understand. No one else can wield the Keyblade. He was told that again and again. It's what makes him special, what makes him necessary. And yet, Xion can hold it as if it belongs to her. That evening, he brings her somewhere. The same place he always goes. The clock tower, high above the town, where the sun bleeds red across the sky. He hands her a sea salt ice cream. She hesitates at first and then takes a bite, noting that it's sweet and salty. Roxas nods. It's a simple moment, but something begins there. And for the first time, Roxas has not just one, but 2 people he can call his friends. Roxas promises that when Axel comes back, they will all have ice cream together. Back at the castle that never was, Roxas turns to Sykes and Xigbar, the organization's cryptic sharpshooter, searching for answers about Axel and Castle Oblivion. But Sykes offers him nothing but a cold certainty. Axel is gone, perhaps for good. Roxas is sent out on a mission with Xigbar, the question still lingering in his mind. What happens when a nobody is destroyed? Xigbar's answer is as blunt as it is unsettling. Nothing remains. No trace. No return. Which means those lost in Castle Oblivion are truly gone, and Roxas will never see them again. As they depart, Roxas suddenly falters. His vision blurs, his strength gives out, and he collapses, his mind flooded with fragments of memories he doesn't recognize. Back at the castle, Xemnas and Zyx stand over his unconscious body. Zyx explains that Roxas will recover so long as Sora, the true wielder of the Keyblade, remains asleep in Castle Oblivion. There is a connection between them, but while Roxas lies dormant, Xion can continue to wield the Keyblade in his place. Days pass, and Roxas doesn't wake. But Xion keeps coming back, standing by his side, telling him about her missions, as if he can still hear her. After one visit, she leaves behind a small gift, delicate seashells, placed gently by his pillow. And then, as Sora, the hero of the Keyblade, is sealed within his memory pod in the distant Castle Oblivion, Roxas opens his eyes once more. The seashells Xion had collected for him, waiting to greet him back to the world of the waking. He makes his way back to the clock tower, where he finds Xion waiting. Roxas asks what happened to him, still trying to piece together the lost time, and she explains that he had been asleep for a long while. She smiles, relieved to see him awake, and places another seashell in his hand. She tells him to hold it up to his ear, and as he does, a faint sound washes over him, like the distant ocean, and with it, a sudden flash. Sora and his friend Kairi, standing side by side on the shores of Destiny Islands. A memory that isn't his, yet somehow feels like it is, even though he doesn't recognize the people in it. With his strength returned, Roxas resumes his missions, now working alone. But even so, he still returns to the clock tower each day out of habit, out of hope. Only now, the seat beside him is empty. Then, on the 71st day, Axel returns, alive. Roxas can hardly believe it. He tells Axel what he's heard, that everyone at Castle Oblivion was wiped out. Axel shrugs it off, saying he managed to survive. Roxas admits he was worried, but Axel brushes the thought aside, reminding him that nobodies aren't supposed to feel things like that. Still, the two of them head back up to the clock tower, sharing sea salt ice cream like they used to. Axel mentions he hasn't even reported back to the Superior yet, as Roxas was the first person he wanted to see, despite everything, despite having no heart. Roxas tells him about Xion, and the promise he made that the three of them would sit together and share ice cream when Axel returned. Now, at last, that promise can be kept. Back in his room, Axel is met with Zyx's cold reprimand. He's returned, yet he hasn't reported in. Zyx notes that the only news to reach the organization is that Namine, a mysterious girl with the power to manipulate Sora's memories, has vanished. Even Axel offers no explanation for her escape. His report is brief, almost dismissive. The traitors in Castle Oblivion have been dealt with, Xion included. Later, Axel and Roxas return to the clock tower, ice cream in hand, slipping back into what should feel familiar. But something is missing. Xion isn't there. Roxas can't shake the feeling that it's been too long since he last saw her, and the promise they made to sit together, the three of them, sharing ice cream, still remains unkept. However, on the 74th day, Xion suddenly returns, appearing in the middle of a battle as Roxas and Axel face down a massive Heartless. She tries to help, but without a weapon, she's quickly knocked aside. Roxas and Axel step in, driving the creature back and pulling her out of danger. Afterward, the three of them make their way to the clock tower. For the first time, they sit together, 3 bars of sea salt ice cream in hand. The promise finally fulfilled. But something is off. Xion is quiet and distant. When they press her for an answer as to why, she finally admits the truth. She can't use the Keyblade anymore. She doesn't know the reason, but without it, she can't do her job. The Heartless she defeats don't release their hearts. They simply reform into other Heartless. She's no longer contributing to the organization's true goal. the completion of Kingdom Hearts. And if the higher-ups find out, she's afraid they'll reduce her to a dusk, one of the organization's lowest-ranking nobodies, empty and mindless. Axel offers a solution. Roxas can take on extra missions to cover for her, at least until the Keyblade returns. Xion hesitates, then asks something more personal. She wonders whether Axel offering to help her means that she and Axel are friends. Axel smirks and says it's simple. Any friend of Roxas's is a friend of his. Later, Roxas and Xion head out on a mission together, just as Axel suggested. In Agrabah, Roxas encounters Genie, Aladdin's loyal friend, who offers to use his magic to repair the damage left behind by a sandstorm. But Roxas remembers something Aladdin once said, that he wanted to rebuild the town on his own, without relying on magic. When Roxas tells him this, Genie pauses, and then agrees, choosing to honor his friend's resolve. For a moment, Roxas lingers on that idea, what it means to respect someone's will, to stand by them, to be a friend. Back at the clock tower, the three of them talk about it, what friendship really is. They decide that best friends must be something more than plain friends, something deeper, even if none of them can quite explain why. The days continue to slip by, one after another, and on the 94th day, the organization is called to assemble. High above them, a vast, glowing moon hangs in the sky, an artificial Kingdom Hearts, formed from the countless hearts they've collected. Xemnas addresses them all, reminding them what they are working toward. Each heart they've gathered filled with rage, sorrow, anger, even bliss, has brought them closer to completion, to a new world, to something greater. He urges them onward, to grow stronger, so that they might seize control of the human heart and claim it as their own. Later, back at the clock tower, Roxas, Axel, and Xion talk about it, about Kingdom Hearts. Roxas admits he still doesn't understand why they need hearts at all. Axel shrugs it off, saying they'll understand once they finally have them, once they can feel what they've been missing this whole time. On another evening, after a mission, the conversation drifts again. Roxas notes how everyone in the organization seems different, each with their own strengths. Axel explains that, in truth, none of them are the same, even if they are all nobodies. They may not have hearts, but they still have memories of who they once were. At least, most of them do. Roxas and Xion don't. Roxas asks Axel what he was like before becoming a nobody. Axel says he was pretty much the same as he is now. Roxas isn't so sure about himself. He wonders what kind of person he used to be. Elsewhere, beyond the quiet streets of Twilight Town, two figures lurk outside the old manor. Diz, a mysterious man working from the shadows, manipulating events from afar, and Namine stand together, watching, waiting. Xion is soon approached by Sykes, who informs her that she and Roxas will no longer be sent on missions together. The news only deepens her unease. She is still unable to summon her Keyblade, and without it, she has no place in the organization. Seeing this, Roxas does something unexpected. He lends her his. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, something clicks. The connection returns. Xion calls her own Keyblade back, and the problem is gone. Overcome with relief, the two of them rush at the clock tower to tell Axel, eager to share the news and to thank him. Axel waves it off with a grin, telling them to go buy some sea salt ice cream. That'll make them even. Sitting together once more, the three of them enjoy their ice cream, and Roxas admits that he wishes things could stay like this forever. But Axel shakes his head, saying it's okay if things change. As long as they keep each other in their thoughts, they'll never really be apart. With Xion able to fight again, Roxas returns to his usual missions. Then, on the 117th day, Axel is summoned, Sykes waiting. He presses Axel for information about Xion, about what she's been doing. Axel gives him nothing, he won't betray his friends. Sykes doesn't push. Instead, he changes course. Axel and Xion will be sent on a mission together, and soon after, Axel will return to Castle Oblivion. The castle, Sykes explains, is still hiding secrets, things even Semnas doesn't fully understand, as he still hasn't found the Chamber of Waking. Xion is tied to the castle, just like Naminé. Both of them were born there, and whatever lies hidden within those halls is calling out for Axel to examine, at least according to Sykes. Axel sees through it immediately. This isn't just about the organization. Sykes has his own agenda. He wants answers. He wants leverage. The truth behind Semnas. Sykes admits as much. If they can uncover Semnas' secrets, they can finally gain the upper hand. Axel says that Sykes should continue to focus on getting to the top of the organization and leave the dirty work to him. Roxas is sent out with Xigbar on a reconnaissance mission to a new world. As they move through it, Roxas asks what they're actually looking for. Xigbar gives him a vague answer. They're scouting for potential recruits. Not just any nobodies, but special ones. The kind worthy of joining the organization. Then, almost offhandedly, he adds that Roxas and Xion fall into that category. They're not ordinary. Back at the clock tower, Axel and Xion wait for Roxas to return, half joking about whether Xigbar is giving him a hard time. Left alone together, the conversation drifts. Xion admits something strange. Whenever she sits here with Axel and Roxas, watching the sunset, it feels familiar, like a memory she shouldn't have, as if, long ago, she used to sit like this with someone else. She says it's the same when she listens to the sea. Maybe that's why she likes seashells so much. On the 118th day, Roxas is given something new, a day off. With no mission to complete, no orders to follow, he finds himself completely lost. He wanders the castle aimlessly, unsure what to do with the time. Even asking Axel and Xion how they spend their days off doesn't help. So eventually he drifts back to the only place he knows, the clock tower. Below, the children of Twilight Town run through the streets, laughing, playing, living lives Roxas can't quite understand. Axel joins him, watching the scene unfold, and wonders aloud if summer vacation has started. A whole month with no responsibilities, no missions, nothing to do. To the busybodies of the organization, it's like a dream. And yet, Roxas struggles to fill even a single free day. Xion joins them shortly after, and the three sit together again. But the moment is cut short. Axel tells them he's being sent out on another mission, reconnaissance. He can't say where, only that he might be gone for a while. Before he leaves, Sykes confronts him one last time with a warning. Sykes says that he's getting too attached to Roxas, to Xion, and that he has changed. The days pass without Axel. Roxas continuing his missions alone, the routine carrying him forward. Then, on the 149th day, Axel returns, appearing suddenly at the clock tower, catching Roxas off guard. But something is wrong. Xion isn't there. The next day, Roxas finds her standing before Sykes, demanding another chance, but Sykes doesn't waver. They can't afford to rely on her anymore. Xion was a mistake, one they never should have made. At the clock tower, Roxas and Axel sit together again. Xion's seat is empty. Roxas asks if there's anything Axel couldn't bear to lose. On his last mission, Zaldin, the organization's whirlwind lancer, called such things a weakness. Roxas isn't sure he has anything like that. Axel tells him it's because he doesn't have a heart, but then he adds something else. Maybe the closest thing nobodies have are their memories. The pieces of who they used to be. But Roxas doesn't have those. Still, Axel suggests that maybe the memories he's made since joining the organization can take their place. Roxas thinks about it. Then he says he couldn't bear to lose his memories of Axel or Xion. Elsewhere, Xion struggles with her own failure. She was sent to eliminate a boy in a black coat, an outsider, wearing the organization's colors, Riku. To lift her spirits, Roxas invites her on a mission. For a while it works, but afterward the memory returns. Riku had defeated her easily, and when he saw her face, he hesitated, asking why she could wield the Keyblade. She, meanwhile, asked him why he wore the organization's cloak. His answer was simple: so his best friend could sleep in peace, referring to Sora in the memory pod. Then he called her Keyblade a sham, a worthless fake, before turning away and leaving her in the dust. Now, back at the clock tower, Xion questions everything. Her purpose, her place. Maybe she really is a mistake. Roxas tries to reassure her, reminds her of what Sigma said, that they're both special. But Xion shakes her head. Being different doesn't mean being important. Sometimes it just means being wrong. She leaves, and Axel arrives just as she disappears from view. The days pass, and slowly Xion stops coming back. On the 171st day, Roxas is sent out with Xaldin again. In the beast's castle, they encounter Belle, tending to the wounded beast. Despite everything, the two have remained devoted to one another, something Xaldin dismisses outright. Love, he says, is useless. Roxas asks what love even means. Xaldin doesn't bother explaining, since a nobody would never be able to understand. Later at the clock tower, Roxas asks Axel instead. Axel doesn't have an answer either. But maybe when Kingdom Hearts is complete, they'll finally understand things like that. The next day, Roxas hears that Xion has collapsed, fallen into a deep sleep. Sykes tells him not to concern himself with a failure like her. Roxas ignores him. He goes to her room and gently places a seashell by her ear. Elsewhere, Axel confronts Sykes directly. He wants answers. Wants to know what Xion really is. Sykes doesn't give them. Only says that she has no right to stand among them. Nothing more. Later, Axel offers Roxas a comforting lie, telling him that if Xion proves herself, if she performs well enough, the organization might reconsider. So, Roxas pushes himself harder, takes on more missions, covers for her absence, until, on the 193rd day, Xion awakens. She dreams of a boy, Sora, giving up his heart to save someone dear to him, Kairi, and when she opens her eyes, Roxas is there, waiting for her to get better. Around her, the seashells he's been leaving one after another rest by her side. She smiles, and even though she's only just woken up, she asks him to take her along on his next mission. As the trio walks through Twilight Town, Xion suddenly falters and collapses. Her body gives out as memories that aren't her own flood her mind again. Fragments of Sora forcing their way to the surface. Roxas and Axel rush her back to the castle that never was. As they arrive, Sykes is already waiting. He glances down at her and asks flatly if it broke again. Roxas bristles at the word, it, as if she's nothing more than a tool. They move past him, but Axel lingers just enough to mutter under his breath, telling Sykes to watch what he says. Left alone, Sykes watches them go, noting the change in Axel once more. Axel isn't the same as before. Whatever happened in Castle Oblivion has changed him, and whatever bond they once shared, whatever past they had, it may no longer matter to him in the same way it once did. In Xion's room, Roxas looks to Axel, surprised. It's not like him to get caught up in things like this, to care this much. Axel doesn't deflect this time. He says that the reason is that the three of them are best friends, and that's enough. At that moment, Xion stirs. She's been awake just long enough to hear it, and Axel, caught off guard, looks away suddenly embarrassed. Xion is still weak, but she's conscious, so they leave her to rest. Far away, Naminé sits alone, carefully sketching three figures: Roxas, Axel, and Xion. Back in the castle that never was, Axel starts digging, looking for answers the organizations won't give him. His search leads him to an old report, notes left behind by Vexen, the organization's scientist. The title of the report being The Truth About Namine. Meanwhile, on another mission, Roxas and Axel arrive in a world Roxas somehow remembers, one where he once flew. There they meet Tinkerbell, a small fairy with the power to grant flight through pixie dust. She sprinkles it over them, and at first nothing happens. Axel just stands there. Then Roxas tells him to trust him, and slowly Axel begins to rise. Together the two of them take to the sky, flying off to finish their mission. The days continue to pass, each one folding into the next, as Roxas carries out mission after mission. On the 224th day, far from the organization, Diz and Namine stand before Sora's memory pod. Inside, Sora sleeps, his memories still fractured. Diz can see the strain on her, and Namine admits the truth. Something is interfering with her work. A nobody. Fragments of Sora's memories have somehow taken root inside someone else, and as long as those memories remain divided, she can't restore him completely. Worse still, if that nobody begins to claim those memories as their own, if they fully take them in, Namine fears they won't survive it. Back at the clock tower, Xion brings up Castle Oblivion. Axel brushes it off, calling it nothing more than an old organization research facility. But Roxas and Xion have noticed something strange. Everyone gets sent there eventually, except them. As the conversation ends, Xion suddenly sways, then slips. She falls from the tower, only to be caught at the last second as Roxas grabs her hand, pulling her back to safety. She hasn't recovered, not fully. Axel, trying to lighten the mood, suggests that on their next day off they could take a trip to the beach. A real break for once. As the days go on, Xion begins uncovering things. Information Sykes has kept hidden from her. Pieces of truth she was never meant to see. Then, on the 255th day, Zemnas, Zigbar, and Sykes gather in the round room. Sykes reports that Axel has been sent back to Castle Oblivion to clear out what remains of their operation there. Zemnas asks about Namine, but she is still missing. Sykes suspects Zigbar knows more than he's saying, but Zigbar offers nothing. Then another issue. Someone accessed the organization's main computer without authorization. Zigbar immediately points to Xion. Zemnas doesn't seem concerned. It doesn't matter. Axel, Roxas, Xion. They will all continue to play the roles assigned to them by Kingdom Hearts. Everything is proceeding exactly as planned. All that remains is to watch. Soon after, Xion arrives at Castle Oblivion. The white halls stretch out before her, endless, pristine, and suffocatingly familiar. The moment she steps inside, her head begins to pound. A memory flashes. Sykes, guiding her through these very corridors. She's been here before. As she looks up, Axel appears, waiting for her. He tells her there's nothing here for her, nothing she needs to see. But Xion refuses to accept that. She knows this place. She came from here. She tries to push past him, but Axel grabs her hand, stopping her. Xion tells him the memories are getting stronger. Some of them even include him. Axel dismisses it, saying they must be dreams. He couldn't have been a part of her past. But Xion knows better. They're memories. They have met before. Right here. She pulls free and runs deeper into the castle, ignoring Axel's warning, driven by one thing alone, the truth. The desperate need to know who she really is. High above Twilight Town, Roxas sits on the edge of a clock tower, watching the sun set. 255 days, he says. Having counted the days since joining the organization, he is joined by Axel, and together they eat sea salt ice cream. As they sit off the ledge of the tower, Axel talks about the sunset, about how light is made of many colors, and her red travels the farthest. Roxas listens, even though he doesn't completely understand. Yet, these moments feel important. They are the highlight of every day. The two of them are waiting for Xion, but she never comes. The next day, Xemnas addresses the organization. Xion has disappeared, and no one is to pursue her. Roxas objects immediately, saying they should go after her and bring her back, but Xemnas shuts it down. There's no need. In time, everything will be made clear. On the 276th day, Roxas finds himself on the shores of Destiny Islands. The waves roll in, the horizon stretching endlessly ahead, and somehow, it all reminds him of her, of Xion. Then, he sees her, standing in the distance. He calls out to her and runs toward her, but when she lowers her hood, it isn't Xion. It's Xion, the organization's illusionist, a master of deception and false appearances, standing where she should be. Before Roxas can react, another presence enters the scene. Riku appears behind him, unseen, as though Roxas exists in a different layer of reality. And then something breaks. Roxas collapses to his knees, overwhelmed, his form shifting, flickering, becoming Xion, and then Sora. When Xion awakens, she finds herself in Riku's arms, safe. But the truth is already closing in. Riku remembers his meeting with Naminé. He had reminded her of her promise to take care of Sora, but she is struggling to keep it. Something is wrong. Sora's memories aren't just broken, they're leaking, flowing out through Roxas, his nobody, and into a third person, into Xion. Those memories are beginning to take root inside her, becoming a part of who she is. And if this continues, they'll bind together completely. If that happens, Sora may wake up to a world that no longer remembers him. Naminé refuses to let that happen, but there's only one way to stop it. Roxas and Xion cannot continue to exist like this. They're fighting it, both of them struggling to become their own people, to be more than what they were created for. Xion's face was blank at first, but through becoming her own person, she now has a face that is clearly visible. But in the end, they have to disappear. Back at the clock tower, Roxas tells Axel about his day. He went to the beach, and for a moment he thought he saw her, a girl who looked like Xion. Roxas shrugs it off, saying it was probably nothing, just his imagination. Maybe he just saw her there because they promised to go, the three of them, together. Axel goes quiet, then stands and sighs before doing something he wouldn't normally do. He suggests they go find her, use their spare time, whatever they have, to look for Xion. Roxas doesn't hesitate, he agrees. So they search, day after day, world after world, until, on the 296th day, they've nearly run out of hope. They've looked everywhere. There's only one place left. Castle Oblivion. Axel tells him there's nothing there anymore, nothing worth finding. But Roxas won't let it go. Xion might be there. After a long pause, Axel admits the truth. Xion came from that castle. That's why she kept asking about it. The next day, Axel takes Roxas there, but the moment they step inside, something hits Roxas. Pain. A flood of something he can't understand, rushing into his mind. Axel pulls him out before it gets worse, bringing him back to Twilight Town. When Roxas wakes, a name slips from his lips. Riku. A name he shouldn't know. And then, they appear. Xion and Riku, cloaked in black. Roxas gives chase, but they vanish before he can reach them. The following day, Xion comes to him willingly. This time, she doesn't run. Roxas tells her they should go back together, back to the way things were. But Xion shakes her head. She can't. She summons her Keyblade and points it at him. Before Roxas can react, Axel steps in. The fight is brief. Xion turns on Axel, but he overpowers her, knocking her unconscious. Without a word, he lifts her up and disappears, leaving Roxas behind. Axel brings her to Sykes, and Sykes seems satisfied. At last, things are as they should be. Axel can stop chasing illusions, stop playing at friendship, and return to what truly matters. Then he calls him by another name, a name from their shared memories, Lee. In the round room, Roxas confronts Semnas directly, asking him about Xion. Semnas answers calmly. She's a valued member of the organization. She simply needs rest. But as Roxas listens, something fractures. A vision, a dark shore. Semnas standing before him, not calling him Roxas, but Sora. Roxas repeats the name aloud, and Semnas smiles faintly, acknowledging the connection. Sora is the link between them, the one who binds Roxas and Xion together. Semnas assures him that Xion will return to her duty soon. Until then, Roxas should focus on his own role. As Roxas leaves, he crosses paths with Axel, but he won't even look at him. After what he did, there's nothing to say. Inside the round room, Sykes joins Semnas once more. He asks if the plan is still viable, if using Xion and Roxas this way will achieve what they want. Semnas reflects. Xion was never meant to become what she is now. She deviated from the original design, but something unexpected happened. Roxas influenced her as they had planned, but through Roxas, Sora began to shape her, eventually turning it into her and giving Xion an identity. At first, it seemed like a flaw, a failure. Now, Semnas understands its value. As long as Xion remains close to Roxas, Sora will never wake. The next day, Roxas sits atop the clock tower once more. Axel joins him, and then Xion. The three of them sit together again, just like before, ice cream in hand, the sunset stretching out before them. But this time, no one speaks. Far away, beside Sora's memory pod, Naminé turns to Diz. Something is wrong. The restoration has stopped. Sora's memories aren't coming back anymore, and unless something changes, he will never wake. The days pass. On the 321st day, Roxas wakes from a dream. Fragments of Sora's memories in Hollow Bastion, still lingering in his mind. And on his cheek, a tear. Something a nobody shouldn't be able to shed. After Xion's return, Roxas begins to weaken. It's subtle at first, but it's there. At the clock tower, Xion notices. She asks him if he's really okay. Roxas laughs it off, finding it strange that after everything, they're the ones worrying about him now. But the tension still lingers. He's still angry at Axel for what he did. Xion gently reminds him that if Axel hadn't acted, she wouldn't be there at all. Later in the castle that never was, Xion speaks with Axel in private. She tells him something is wrong with Roxas. Using the Keyblade is draining him. Axel doesn't deny it. Instead, he tells her she should already know why. After all, she was created as a replica made to copy Roxas, to make his power her own. The implication hangs heavy between them. But Axel doesn't push further. He tells her to find the answer herself. Says he believes in her, as the three of them are still best friends. Unseen, Xigbar listens from the shadows. Later in the round room, Xigbar brings what he's learned to Semnas and Sykes. He speaks of Xion, of how Sora's power is shaping her. Semnas acknowledges it. Xion has become much more than intended, more human than planned, but that only makes her more useful, a better vessel. He turns to Sykes, asks if preparations are complete. Sykes confirms it is only a matter of days now. In the end, it doesn't matter which one survives, Roxas or Xion. One will absorb the other, and when that happens, Sora's power will belong to them. The days continue, the missions go on, even as Roxas grows weaker with each one. And on the 352nd day, Xion remembers her time with Riku. She had asked him why he saved her. He said he just felt like it. Then she asked about Sora, about Kairi, the girl who looks so much like her. Riku told her the truth. Kairi is someone precious to Sora, someone he would do anything for. Riku told Xion that the memories inside her don't belong to her, they belong to Sora. Riku tells her she should come with him to return those memories and help Sora wake. But Xion refuses. She can't disappear. Not like that. Her friends need her. More than that, she needs them too. Riku doesn't force her, but instead gives her time. Time to decide where she truly belongs. Xion resolves to use that time to the fullest. Soon after, on a mission, Roxas faces a powerful Heartless. He closes in, ready to strike the final blow. But Axel steps in and stops him. Axel reveals the truth. There was no Heartless. The mission was set up by the Organization. Even so, they return to the clock tower, and for a moment, everything feels normal again. Their biggest concern being a sudden brain freeze from the sea salt ice cream. Axel jokes about the sticks. Says if one of them says winner, you get a prize. Though he has no idea what the prize actually is. Roxas goes quiet. He's seen one like that before, but he doesn't say anything. Xion watches the sunset and wishes things could stay like this forever. Roxas suggests something impossible, that they run away. Axel starts to repeat what he said before, that as long as they keep each other in their thoughts, they'll never truly be apart, but Xion finishes it for him, saying she's got it memorized, turning his own catchphrase against him. Elsewhere, besides Sora's memory pod, Naminé grows increasingly anxious. Time is running out. Diz turns to Riku and tells him that they can't wait any longer. Back in the castle that never was, Sykes confronts Axel. He's interfered again and disrupted the plan. The organization only needs one of them, not both. Later, Axel, Xion, and Xigbar are sent out together, but the mission turns into something else entirely. Xigbar and Xion clash, and as he looks at her, something unsettles him. For a moment, he doesn't see Xion. He sees someone else. Ventus, a Keyblade wielder from long ago, whose face mirrors Roxas's. Xion defeats him and leaves him unconscious. Then she turns to Axel and asks him to let her go. She lowers her hood, just for a moment, and whatever Axel sees, it shakes him. And then she pulls it back up and asks him to take care of Roxas. Axel hesitates, then lets her walk away. Back at the castle, Sykes demands an explanation. Axel returned with Xigbar, but not Xion. Now they're left with the one they can't use anymore, Roxas. Roxas corners Axel, demanding answers about what happened on the mission. Axel doesn't respond at first. Then, reluctantly, he tells him the truth. Xion isn't what Roxas thinks she is. She's a replica, a puppet, created by the organization, part of a program designed to copy the power of a Keyblade wielder. Roxas refuses to accept it, but Axel presses on, saying that Xion is like a mirror, one meant to reflect Roxas himself. And yet, when she showed him her face, he didn't see Roxas, which means something has changed. Something went wrong. Axel tells him plainly, if no one stops Xion, Roxas won't remain himself for much longer. Elsewhere, Xion returns to Riku. She's made her decision. Riku listens, and then directs her to Twilight Town to find a girl named Naminé. She'll have the answers Xion is searching for. The next day, in the round room, the remaining members of the organization gather. Samnus announces that Xion has disappeared once again, and this time the truth is laid bare. Xion is a replica, an artificial being, created to replicate the power of the Keyblade, a tool. Some of the members react with surprise, others with quiet frustration. This is the first they've heard of it. Sykes notes that replicas aren't meant to develop identities of their own. It shouldn't be possible. He turns to Axel and asks him to confirm it. Axel does, even though he knows that it isn't true. He's seen it before. Xemnas gives Axel a new order to bring Xion back. One by one, the members vanish, none of them pleased with how much has been kept from them. As Axel sets out, Roxas tries to stop him. Axel doesn't slow down, says it's simple. It's either Xion or him. If he refuses, the organization will erase him. And worse, Xion is already harming Roxas. Every moment she exists, she's draining him. In the forests of Twilight Town, another meeting unfolds. King Mickey, cloaked in black, steps forward, facing a figure who wears the face of Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. But when he puts the blindfold back on, Ansem disappears. It's Riku. Mickey is relieved. He's been searching for him. Riku explains that he's been struggling to control the darkness within himself, learning to master it while they wait for Sora to awaken. He's getting better, slowly. Mickey shares what he's learned. The organization, they're stalling, buying time. Riku understands why. They need time to absorb Sora's memories. Then Riku asks for a favor. Soon he'll face one of them, and he might not survive. And even if he does, he may lose himself to the darkness. So he asks Mickey to be there for Sora, Donald, and Goofy when they wake. Mickey doesn't hesitate, as he says,
I promise, Riku. Haha.
The next day, Roxas wakes with everything weighing on him. Xion, the Replica Program. The truth that she was created to copy him. His power, his Keyblade. He thinks about Axel, about how long he's known, about how he still chose to let her go. And a question begins to take shape. If Xion is a puppet, then what is he? And who is Sora? Roxas confronts Axel one last time and demands to know the truth. The truth of who he really is. Axel doesn't dodge the question. The organization had already decided that once Xion copied his powers, Roxas became expendable. But none of that matters to him. Whatever Roxas is still his best friend. Axel asks him to trust him, but Roxas can't. Not anymore. He turns and walks away, looking for answers on his own. Back in his room, he pauses, picking up the ice cream stick marked Winner, the one he never mentioned. He takes it with him and leaves. In the streets below, Roxas runs into Axel once more. Axel asks him whether he has really made up his mind. If he turns against the organization, they won't hesitate. They'll erase him. Roxas says it doesn't matter. No one would miss him anyway. He walks away, and Axel murmurs to himself that he would miss him. The next day, Xion finds Namine. She asks her whether she can see her face. Namine says yes. So Xion asks her what she should do. Namine turns it back on her. What does she want to do? At first, the answer was easy. She just wanted to be with Roxas and Axel, to sit on the clock tower forever. But now she understands the truth. The memories inside her aren't her own. Namine explains that Xion isn't Sora. She isn't even Roxas. She's Kairi as Sora remembers her. A reflection, a fragment shaped by someone else's heart. And the more she remembers, the stronger the pull to return becomes. To return to where those memories belong. Namine doesn't hide the cost. If Xion gives those memories back to Sora, she will disappear. Completely. No one will even remember her, because there will be nothing left to remember. But Xion doesn't hesitate. She is ready. They both know what this means. Roxas will have to return as well one day, but not yet. He isn't ready. Before she leaves, Xion asks one last thing. That nominee watches over Roxas when she's gone. Suddenly Diz appears. The organization has found them. They followed Xion. There's no more time. Xion goes to face Axel outside the manor. She tells him the truth. She has to go back to where she belongs. Axel understands, even agrees, but he can't accept it. He doesn't want to lose her. Xion summons her Keyblade and asks him for a promise. She asks him not to hold back. Axel doesn't. They fight, and in the end, Axel wins. He brings her back, but his strength gives out, and he collapses. When he wakes, she's gone, taken by Semnas. The next day, Roxas sits alone on the clock tower. He lets out a laugh. His plan to run away, it was pointless. He has nowhere to go. Then, someone joins him. A hooded figure. It's Xion. She offers him a sea salt ice cream and says she's out of time. And then she stands and lowers her hood. She asks him what he sees. It isn't her face. It's Sora. She steps out into the open air and tells him the truth. She has to take him with her. The two clash above Twilight Town. Xion transforming into something monstrous. A distorted nobody, born from everything she's become. The battle is brutal, but Roxas wins. And in that moment, something begins to slip. Back on the ground, Xion returns to normal. But Roxas can't remember who she is. He knows he's losing something important, but he can't grasp it. Xion smiles faintly, says he'll be better off this way. As her strength fades, she falls into his arms. Roxas asks if he did this to her. She shakes her head. This was her choice. She wouldn't let Semnas decide her fate. She belongs with Sora, and now she's going back to him. She asks Roxas for one final favor. Set the hearts free. Don't let Semnas complete Kingdom Hearts. Then, softly, she says goodbye. Says she's glad she got to meet him and Axel, her best friends. For just a moment, Roxas remembers her, and then she's gone. Nothing left behind except a single seashell. Back at the castle that never was, Axel finds something waiting for him, an envelope. Inside, an ice cream stick marked Winner. On the 358th day, Roxas returns to the world that never was, this time alone. Heartless gather around him, and in his hands, 2 keyblades. High above, Riku waits. Their clash is inevitable. They fight through waves of Heartless, until only the 2 of them remain. Riku tells him the truth. He's there to reclaim what's left of Sora's memories. Roxas is done hearing that name. Sora means nothing to him. He says he'll set Kingdom Hearts free, restore everything, bring Xion back, even if he can barely remember her anymore. In the end, Riku overpowers him, but he can't bring himself to finish it. Roxas rises again, and for a moment something strange happens. They speak to each other like they've met before, like they've lived another life. Fragments of Sora bleeding through. Roxas rejects it. He is not Sora. He attacks again, and Riku makes a choice. To stop him, he gives into the darkness. Riku lets his blindfold fall, and he is transformed into Ansem. With that, Xion is gone. Completely. Diz arrives, and Roxas is taken. The next day, 359 days after joining the organization, Roxas wakes up in Twilight Town. No memories, no past, just another boy, enjoying his summer vacation with his friends. And so ends the story of Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. Hope you liked it. Please subscribe. More coming. Bye.